Here at our newsroom, we're tracking a brand new national survey from CNN that lands on the eve of key off-year elections. The top line is clear. The president's job approval has fallen to 37%, with 63% disapproving. That 37% mark is the lowest of his second term so far. It follows a steady slide from the early post-inauguration period, when approval hovered near 50%. The poll also measures how Americans view presidential power. 6 in 10 respondents, 61%, say the president has gone too far in using executive authority. On immigration, a majority, 57%, say the administration has gone too far with deportations of undocumented immigrants. Both measures have moved since February, suggesting growing concern about the scope and pace of enforcement. When Americans are asked how the country is doing overall, only 32% say things are going well, while 68% say things are going badly. What is driving that mood? The top issue remains the economy and the cost of living. 47% name it as the most important challenge facing the United States. The state of democracy ranks second at 26%. Immigration, crime, and public safety follow behind. Given that the economy dominates public attention, the survey also asks whether the president's policies have helped or hurt economic conditions. 61% say those policies have made things worse, while 27% say they have improved the economy. That gap helps explain why overall approval is so low, even as employment remains broadly stable. Perceptions of prices and day-to-day costs continue to weigh heavily. Looking ahead, the poll offers an early snapshot of the battle for Congress. On a generic congressional ballot, if the election were held today, 47% of voters say they would choose the Democratic candidate, while 42% would choose the Republican. That 5-point edge is real, but smaller than the advantage Democrats enjoyed at a similar point before the 2018 midterms. Motivation to vote may matter just as much as preference. Among voters who describe themselves as extremely motivated to participate next year, 67% are Democrats or Democratic-leaning independents, compared with 46% who are Republicans or Republican-leaning independents. That intensity gap could shape primary season and early fundraising, though it can still narrow as campaigns ramp up. Party images remain a headwind. Only 29% of Americans hold a favorable view of the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is only slightly better at 33% favorable. Majorities view both parties unfavorably, a sign of broad frustration that crosses ideological lines. For Democrats, that weak brand complicates any attempt to turn the president's poor approval into sweeping gains. For Republicans, it highlights the risk of leaning solely on dissatisfaction with the White House, rather than expanding their own appeal. Independents are a critical piece of this puzzle. Earlier this year, the president's approval among independents stood near 43%. It is now 28%. A 15-point drop. In close races, those shifts can decide outcomes, especially in districts and states where margins are razor-thin. How campaigns speak to independents on prices, healthcare costs, immigration, and democratic norms will shape the next year. Media strategy is also in the discussion. The same news cycle includes debate about how interviews, network leadership, changes, and perceived editorial friendliness can influence coverage. For voters outside the partisan core, those signals matter less than pocketbook issues. Still, perceptions of media alignment can affect trust, and trust affects how messages land in the middle of the electorate. Here's where things stand. As voters head into local contests and as the national campaigns spool up, the president's approval is at 37%, 63% disapprove. 6 in 10 say presidential power has been used too aggressively. A majority believes immigration enforcement has gone too far. Nearly 7 in 10 say the country is on the wrong track. driven primarily by concerns about the cost of living. On the generic ballot, Democrats hold a 5-point edge, with Democrats currently showing greater motivation to vote. Yet both parties carry weak favorable ratings, and independents have moved sharply away from the president. Next steps to watch. Do approval numbers slip further into the low 30s, or do they stabilize? Does the motivation gap between the parties hold through primary season, or does it tighten as issues shift? Do prices and household costs ease enough to change how voters feel by late spring? And can either party improve its brand with independents, who will likely decide the closest races? We will continue to monitor these numbers and bring you unbiased updates as new surveys drop, state by state and district by district. Stay with our channel for clear breakdowns, what the data means for policy, and how these trends could affect your community and your wallet over the next 12 months. We are following a new report released by CNN on the eve of another peak in tension between Washington and Caracas. In an interview broadcast on Sunday, November 2nd, Donald Trump stated that he believes Nicolás Maduro's days as president are numbered. When questioned about possible ground offensives in Venezuela, the president said he would neither confirm nor deny, maintaining ambiguity about next steps. This statement comes amidst the United States' increased military presence in the Caribbean, officially presented as part of a campaign against drug trafficking. Since the beginning of September, the Pentagon has counted at least 14 attacks on suspicious vessels in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, with a total that has already exceeded 60 deaths. According to recent reports, this move has generated reactions in neighboring countries. Trinidad and Tobago placed its defense forces on general alert, raising the status to Alert Level 1 and ordering all personnel to return to their bases as a preventive measure in light of the regional situation. Meanwhile, reports in the U.S. press indicate that Washington has considered, at least at the planning level, targeting Venezuelan military targets associated with drug trafficking. The Caracas government denies the accusations, calls the operations a pretext for regime change, and promises to respond to any violation of its sovereignty. In public, Trump has sent mixed signals. On the one hand, he says he doubts a war. On the other, he maintains that Maduro's presidency is in its final stages. This contrast maintains uncertainty about the escalation and increases diplomatic and military surveillance in the region. Following the interview on Sunday, November 2nd, the situation remains volatile. There is a U.S. military reinforcement, attacks on vessels linked to trafficking with more than 60 deaths, a maximum alert in Trinidad and Tobago, and rumors, unconfirmed, of studies to strike targets in Venezuelan territory. We will continue to monitor three fronts: the evolution of maritime operations, any additional measures by Caribbean countries, and any concrete signs of military action within Venezuela.